So I just need.
Why do you need to whisper?
Do you need to? What are you gonna listen?
Why do you whisper?
Libini. And
Oh, come on.
I was looking out the window. The cat has a great
is there
view
coffee?
piece.
Can I have a coffee?
Why?
Not anymore. I'll make some later.
Okay.
Yummy chess.
We're not doing chess. We're doing snail show time. Oh my god, 87 notifications for.
Yeah, they've been.
And I think Daniel needs his own special invitation through email. Oops. Mm-hmm.
He was in my tent.
Okay. And maybe I'll post one more at the collective.
Why can I tell you that one to look like
Lay Snail Collective regular page. Is that link working? I posted it in the chat, the fast chat. I posted it in the regular one too. What's up, Daniel? You made it.
Am I the only one?
He always says that.
Why are you always so scared to be by yourself? You're all we need. We don't need anybody else, Daniel. We could do the show just with you.
Okay.
my finger.
Your
Uh-oh.
beard is really coming along. It looks
Yeah.
cool.
Thank you. Yeah, the hole is gone. It's completely filled in.
What do you mean? There was something there before?
Yeah, there was just a big space. Like, when I was doing construction work with my friend, after I stopped, there was literally like a, I don't know, 2-3 centimeter wide like patch, just completely bald.
Did you have an accident at work or something? Or
No, but we're like messing with chemicals and stuff. You know,
Oh.
there's lots of different types of material you're playing around with, like adhesives and concrete, like mixing material. There's paint stuff. Like, I just have a feeling something got onto my chin and just
yeah,
wiped out like some of my population. I was hoping like it would grow back stronger or thicker or like a different color or something, but
I don't notice anything. Yeah, so
yeah.
yeah, my uncle worked with. I think he still does. He works with acid, and he got burned really bad by acid one time. His arms like all over the place right here. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's been chatting away in the thing, so people should be coming.
Oh, really? That's cool.
I think Omar is smoking a cigarette or something. Samir.
He doesn't like to show himself smoking or something.
No, he has. I've seen him smoke.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe he, like you were saying, your face has to be perfect and blemish free. No sleep, no signs of sleep deprivation.
Well, actually, oddly enough, that's all true for today. So it worked out. I got enough sleep, so
Good. Good. Gayatry's
Yeah.
supposed to be here too, or I was intending to have her be able to come on, at 6 a.m. her time instead of 3 a.m. That's
Yeah.
why I was because we had like a thing we were going to today. That's why I moved it, but I was trying to multitask.
Okay, got it.
Andrea, did you lose the connection?
I'm trying to fix. It's saying my old name on here, so I was just trying to see if I could fix it.
Hmm.
I used to have it as Dee Drea Dawn.
Ah. Okay, so Derek said he's not going to be here. He had some commitment. Oh, Gayatri said I will try my best.
Oh, Samir.
Samir is
Oh,
here.
man. There we go.
All right. Samir, can you hear us? Samir, hello? Earth to Samir?
Yo,
Ah, he lives.
see you, man.
Welcome, buddy.
Yeah, so, hey, man, so much has friggin' happened. So much has happened in the last, I don't know, couple of weeks or whatever.
It's been a lot. It's been a lot energetically, for me at least.
It has. It
For
has.
us, yeah.
I figured out tons. Hey, dude, I've got a meeting, please. Yeah, so this is my roommate. No, seriously,
What's his
I
name?
need to, what's his name? His name is the stupid, irritating one. That's his name. No, his name's Lytton.
Lytton? He can join if he wants.
Yeah.
Lytton, you see what I mean?
Hi, Lytton.
No, he.
How you doing, buddy? Samira, if you agitate people, they're gonna fight back. Like, you have to, like...
Yeah.
No, really, like, if you're living with someone, you should try to at least, like, be reasonable with him. Otherwise, you're gonna just terrorize each other. You don't want that, do you?
Yeah. No, we get along. We get along well. He calls me all kinds of names.
Hi, Rin.
Hi.
Daniel,
Hey, what's up?
how you doing?
Good, just waiting for the birth of the sun god.
When is that supposed to happen? Wait, didn't you say, like, you were concerned whether this show was gonna happen because the world was supposed to end beforehand?
Today.
Today is the day?
No, so the eclipse was the opening of the birth canal, the Ring of Fire eclipse. So we're talking about a sun deity being born. It could take months, years, the birth process itself. So I don't know.
Well, is this deity supposed to be incarnated, or is it supposed to
I
be...
think so, yeah.
Yeah?
I think literally like in physical form yet.
Wow.
I mean, it could all be allegorical and metaphorical, I don't know, but it could be real. We'll have to wait and see.
Samira, you were saying something about someone coming back. Are you referencing the same entity?
Yeah, cause
Ra?
Ra, cause essentially, like the synchronicities piling up. I was watching a video. This is some time ago, and the world leaders all went to Antarctica, and people were like, "Well, what the hell's that about? Why are they all going there?" You'll find it if you check up on the internet, you know. And there was a reverse speech analysis of, I think it was John Kerry, and he was going to Antarctica, and in the reverse speech was, "Has he arrived? You know, is he here? You know?" And this is why they're all going to Antarctica to meet him. You know.
This is recently?
And basically, like when I was saying before, you know, the Game of Five Races, the sun god Ra, leaving Rakafel and Rakashil, his money, wealth, and technology, and it looks as though, like what Org was saying, is that the technology actually sort of seduced them and addicted them to. Basically, things got way out of hand, and so they're a little worried now because they were like the butlers, you know, left behind.
They were the stewards?
Yeah, the stewards, those two families with the mind control technology, the skeleton crew, and so on, to sort of take care of their genetic anomalies. You know, with our, as I was saying, our 10,000 different genetic. Incomplete genomes, the sunburn from, you know, the planet's primary luminary, our inability to, you know, want to us wanting to engineer flat surfaces onto everything. The fact that our babies can't live in this territory, in this world, without like 7 layers of covering. All other animals can just, baby drops onto the ground, within 5 minutes is up and running. You know, ours, exposed to the elements, die. So there's a whole load of evidence that indicates that we're somebody's maybe dirty little secret, and we were supposed to be looked after, and that hasn't gone well. So a lot of these guys are actually very worried. You know, when the sun god Ra comes back and he's like, well, why are they all committing suicide? Why are they addicted to drugs? You know, what happened? You were supposed to have taken care of them. And they had the billions of dollars, they had the technology. Like Org was saying, they used the technology instead of, you know, the mind control technology that's like a million years more advanced than we're supposed to have. They used it to spy on girls in the shower rooms rather than doing their jobs. So they've got a lot of explaining to do. And as Max Spears was saying, they're worried now because the master is coming back to the house and finding out that his butler has been friggin' sleeping in his bedroom and friggin', you know, drinking all his alcohol and sleeping with the maids and so on, and they weren't meant to do any of that. So, yeah, there's some panic there, and I think that's part of the problem with the energetics that we're witnessing. Because with me, it's been very, I've been feeling very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
you know,
very, very intense, like anxiety. Yeah. And you know what? All these ancient cultures who worship the sun, they weren't idiotic. You know, I think they literally worshipped a real deity that he came down and interacted with them, and he comes down periodically, like every several eons or whatever it might be, and he initiates a reset. So that's why the analogy of birth is a reset. The birth canal opens, the water breaks, and the water floods everything. Basically, it starts all over, in a sense.
And I just wanted to say something, because there's very few people who would appreciate what what I'm about to say next, or would even understand it. So I saw there was a vision. I call it a vision, but it was more real than me sitting here now. And it was the sun. But the rays coming out of it were consciousness and love and so on. And the sun, Gary, can you hear?
I can hear you.
And the sun was saying to me, sorry, I didn't know. Wow. I didn't know, but it wasn't speaking in a voice. It's like when the rays reach you, your body interprets the light into a very profound, very real message. And the sun was saying to me, I'm sorry about what's happened here. I didn't know. I didn't know. And so when you bring this all together, the sun god Ra, Rakafel, Rakashil, their technology, the money, the wisdom that they have, the fact that it doesn't seem like we're meant to actually be here, that we're aliens to this environment, our feeling of abandonment and our feeling of betrayal very deep down, all of this speaks to like a psychological, spiritual fingerprint of something actually having happened, but we have no memory of it. And I think that's, the sun speaking to me was the sun god saying, Jesus, this wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, I've felt the same thing. I've heard people also say that it is known that the human being, the organic, divine human being, was, as far as the bad, so-called bad tech, like they engineered the human to not be able to send out the bio emissions that would contact what you call God, or what Ra, whoever it is. Like the parent figure for humanity was cut off energetically.
Yeah.
Or at least has been attempted to do so. So it is essentially like has been hiding what has been going on here from Daddy, from the caretaker of all of life, right?
I think it gets studied. I think actually people are still born with it, but it steadily gets cut off as you age. So children still have that connection.
Right.
For them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel it all the time if I work at it. like I have to actually work to establish connection. If I'm not doing it, then all of these other lower, denser feeling states will come in, and you just feel like you're walking around in like muddy consciousness. It's just gross feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Omar, welcome, buddy.
Hello.
You awake?
How you doing? You guys?
Your beard is
Okay.
looking especially crazy today. I like it.
Just doing me. So, what did I think I'm caught up. Did I miss anything before that last point?
I think Samir was just reiterating a little bit what he was explaining in the chat earlier today.
Okay.
So we're just talking about how it has felt as that we as humans have lost our origins, or we don't know why we're here, or we feel disconnected from what we call God, etc. Like the whole feelings of betrayal, abandonment, guilt, all of these things come together to give us a very strange picture of the possibilities of what's going on here.
Got it. Well, that is why most people are lost, and it's not for those of us who are connected to it. It does make us. It's not something you should just go around talking about to anybody that asks. I'll put it that way.
Definitely. Yeah, I was thinking that's why it's so important for us to have these meetings, because what I wanted to say was I think our importance is that this was a psychological experiment, and basically the other 90% of people out there, there's in this experiment they would have 9 actors, 1 empty chair, and a lecturer. And there was a line A and line B on the board. Line A was noticeably shorter than line B, okay? And when the student came in, who was actually the subject of the experiment, and sat down, he didn't know all the others were actors, including the lecturer. Mm-hmm. And they would all purposely give the wrong answer, saying that line A was actually longer when it was noticeably shorter. And what they found is in the minds of all these people, that's people like outside of this group, they found that their minds actually morphed and shifted the reality to match the group consensus. Whereas people like us, we would see the facts as they are and say, no, line A is obviously shorter. It doesn't matter how many of the others think otherwise. And that we break the spell that the other 9 are under. So when people like us go out into the real world, and because they've got their group consensus reality, whereas people with like what they call high functioning autism, or these behavioral traits that I think a lot of us will exhibit, the system knows that we'll break, because what they found in the Lucifer, principle, Zimbardo, was that all it would take, if there were 9 people going crazy, is for one person to stand up and say, this is insane, line A is obviously shorter. Then the spell is broken on all the others. Mm-hmm. They wake up, and it's game over for evil. And that's why people like us, the system knows, because it's like the system is alive. In the prism of Lyra, you were talking about this, Omar, was it knows about us, and so works fastidiously to isolate us and contain us to the best of its ability. And I think that's, this targeted individual business and everything else is all connected with that. And these guys, the so-called elite, have been working with this AI to try to control humanity, and that's coming to an end. This is kind of what we're seeing now.
That's what I was talking about with you yesterday, is that might be one of the reasons why, if the sun god is birth, that he initiates this reset, is because he doesn't want this to take place, for this system to start. Either that, or there's literally a new race that's going to be born. So I guess
Yeah,
I don't know.
because what's been tugging at my consciousness regarding this was because the whole world has Stockholm syndrome. Okay, they've got identification with the oppressor, and we've all seen this with a narcissist in our lives. The narcissist says something crazy, and everybody else, because we have no advocates usually, says, yeah, the narcissist says, no, the sun is pink or green or whatever, and they all say, yep, that's true. And they automatically identify with the oppressor because they've been sold and trained to do so. And so now you've got the missing children, you've got, the evil wars and so on. And when you try to speak to people about this, they literally are protecting the system as if they are the people committing the crimes, even though they're the ones that are the victims of it. And you see this all the time. I was trying to explain to this guy about how the pharmaceuticals that he was using were actually harming him and his girlfriend, and he was like the friggin' pharmaceutical company's defense attorney. He was fighting me so hard. I was like, dude, I'm like, look, are you the defense attorney or something? How is it? And so, what the sun god might want to do, because as Org was saying, imagine what would actually have to happen tonight to get people to say, yeah, I'm not okay with satanic ritual sacrifice. I'm not okay with bombing for oil. I'm not okay. You'd literally have to have an army come down and stop people from identifying with the oppressor. And there is no army that will do that because the whole system is on lockdown.
Omar.
And so it would take like a god to come back, I think, and to have to reset the entire system, because as it is right now, it doesn't matter what evidence is shown.
I wanted to. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Omar's
That's
up.
right.
Omar, go.
Jesus. That's what's so interesting about the truth movement is you have all of these people who are saying, oh, yeah, I'm not okay with this, I'm not okay with that, but really they're just doing the parrot thing that Samir was talking about a minute ago because other people were saying that. They don't actually understand what they're even talking about.
Yeah.
Or the totality of it, or any of the reality of it. They're just sort of towing a line because somebody else that they're friends with and they're familiar with said, oh, hey, did you hear about how horrible this is? We shouldn't have this. Yeah, let's rebel against that. Okay, well, then you see all these cyclical posts about things and you think, oh, the world's getting better. Oh, people are catching on. No, they're not. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're just repeating something they've heard somewhere else. And I think that what's really... what's so interesting about all this is we have to trace back to the very origins of this diaspora of consciousness to get any sort of understanding of what's even well, we know what's necessary in a sense to sort of change things around, but why and how? Because you see how well organized this is, and they wouldn't have done this if there wasn't some tremendously intriguing reason for it. So they're getting something out of this, whether it's biophotonic energy or whether it's keeping this planet in this configuration for a specific reason that we're not aware of, or whatever. But the point is, there are so few people that even remember or have a cellular memory of what this place was like, a few 100 million years ago, that at this juncture, what is the actual next move in the game? Because right now the end game looks like it's turning into a new Mac, which is this cybernetic human thing. But to what end does that serve them, and what clues does that give us as to what the game is that they've been playing this whole time? And how do we take that information and leverage it in such a way, knowing what they're capable of, bringing us into more of a closer union with what we're actually trying to accomplish? Or is it really so simple as just saying, hey, I'm done, I check out of that, I'm going to go over here and do this. You can all go over there and do that if you want, but I'll be over here. When you want to join me, come hang out and we'll talk.
I think that's more.
It really might be that simple, actually.
I think it is that. It is. I feel like it is that. It's an interesting thing. It brought to my mind a concept that I had heard a while back about the fallen power structure, the elite, whatever they are. They're very intelligent and they're very good with technology and they're very good at acting like they don't exist. Like they're not just walking down the street and you can go have a conversation with them. I've never talked to one of them.
Maybe you just didn't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But there was a very interesting theory that, like, you know, you've heard of the whole, like, service to self, service to other. And I'm not saying you need to follow the raw character that created that. I'm just saying, like, it's an interesting concept that the ones who were playing service to self, like, you know, really getting in there and they were really taking it seriously. Like, they were just, like, killing when they needed to, brainwashing here when they needed to, you know, licking the boots of this power person when they needed to. It was interesting because at some point a theory came around that they played their part a little bit too well and they actually did cut off the reels from the connection to the divine, and it actually did start this place on a very slow move toward entropy or dissolution. And their solution to that, with all the high tech, with all of their you know, imaging technology, and they could predict things, predictive algorithms, etc., was to, like, make it as even worse, like make it as loudly bad as possible so God would notice. Like that was a theory I heard that was just, I was just like, wow. Like they went too far. They went too far in playing the game, so then they were like, well, we have to go for broke now. We have to, like, in essence, just scream our heads off because we actually somehow did manage to cut ourselves off.
You know what I think? So you're talking about how we feel like a disconnection from source.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to figure out what the elites are doing here. And people talk about the human farm, and I've kind of been thinking about that. Like, what exactly would that even mean? Like Omar was saying, biophotonics. I think that could play a role, but I think it's also cloning. I think we might be getting cloned without even knowing it, and our clones are being used to be thrown into other timelines and other planets to do whatever with. And that's why, I don't know about you guys, but everybody feels like, I feel like a piece of myself is always missing. You ever feel that way?
Yeah,
like it could, we have dozens of versions of ourselves all over, like being used as cattle or whatever they want to use us for. And it's like we're connected to them because there's still a little piece of our soul in that clone.
I've done retrieval on myself, and I killed off all the clones. I'm the only prime left. They're all gone now.
You killed off the clones?
I killed off all my clones.
How did you do that?
It's not quite as easy as just explaining it, but basically you go into a super deep trance and you remote view where all the clones are, and you recall and recollect your ancestral memory. And sorry, this is just the clip notes. I don't know how else to answer your questions. But
yeah.
And then you remote view where all of the pieces of your DNA are in this timeline, and then all the other timelines, and you're just led to observe where they are, and then you just remotely terminate them because they have no right to be there.
Were some of them turned into cyborgs by chance?
2.
That's what they're using us for.
Okay.
They're taking
They
us.
were off planet
Wanna show you
actually.
again?
One of them was on Saturn and one of them was on Mars.
I know.
There you go. That's what the human farm is. It's a clone farm.
But most of them were here on Earth.
Yeah.
Some of them were in the past. What's really interesting about it is I have over the last 2 years I've recalled a lot of memories of Okay, so I was talking to my friend Drew one night, and he said, "Hey, my friend Penny is really pissing me off." And I thought, well, that name sounds familiar. I don't know why right now. And I said, "Penny who?" And he goes, "Oh, Penny Bradley." And I said, "Oh, I know who that is." And I said, "Show me a picture of her." And he goes, "Here's her profile." So I go and look, and I'm like, "Yep, that's what I thought it was. I know that lady from the Montauk Project. She used to run the chair." And she was steering the chair with 2 other people, and she was the main person psychically steering it. And I thought to myself, okay, well, this day just got a whole lot weirder. Okay, so I sent her a message, and I said, da 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 da. I remember you from da 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 da. And by the way, how is insert name here? How is she doing? And she goes, "How did you know that name? I've never told anybody that name." And I said, "Yeah, the last time I saw her was in South America in the late 70s." And she goes, "Yeah, that's the name of my assassin altar that used to work in South America back in the 70s. And she goes, "How old are you?" I'm like, "I'm 37. Why?" She goes, "Well, I'm 63 and I've never seen you in physical form, so how the fuck do you know me?" So it was a very strange conversation, but to make a long story short, I know for a fact that I've existed in other timelines before I was born, and I made sure to cut off all those loose ends and get rid of them.
That's very interesting. I have a I have a corollary to that story. Penny Bradley. I didn't know her either, but okay.
Oh God, have you talked to her?
We have
She's
10
very
minutes.
dangerous.
She just came up on my friends list. No, she came up on suggested because like once you get into this community, then the algorithm starts figuring out who's connected, and it starts just like it does that. So, she friended me. I friended her. I don't remember. She said, "Welcome to my world. It's very, very different from the norm, but verifiable mostly." I said, "Hi, Penny. Is there a normal?" She said, "There is a cultural normal, WASP," which I didn't look up to see what that meant. I know it means something.
White Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Yeah?
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
There is a cultural normal WASP who works 40 a week and is not in debt over his head with a car and a mortgage. I'm not one of those. And I just said I'm driving at the moment but would like to chat. And I don't know anything about her. It's the first time I'd ever heard anything about her. I don't know if I would actually talk with her or not, but
Okay, so just to insert this real quick, because I think you're a good human, and I'd want you to know this. She has gone off her fucking rocker, and earlier this year in February, there was a friend of mine, Matt. What's his last name?
Wyatt?
Yeah, Matt Wyatt. He is convinced that I work for the federal government and that I was trying to psychically assassinate him. He got into something where something was chasing him outside of his house, and I remote viewed it, tried to fight them off on his behalf, and he, a few months later, told Ashley Aurora that I was working for the government and that I had tried to kill him. And he blocked me. I talked to his sister about it. His sister said, I don't know, take that up with him. He did mention that. Called his phone. He never got back to me. And so then I heard this thing about me working for the government from a few other people. And I thought, well, this is weird. Somebody is trying to sabotage me within the fringe community. And then Penny showed her colors, and freaked out in this group chat that I'd added her to and said a whole bunch of really weird shit. And I blocked her from the chat and blocked her on Facebook, and I haven't talked to her since because it was fucking twisted.
When it comes to altars as well, you know, there's so I've got
it's all on YouTube now. That's fantastic because they all use it. Great.
So with me, I went to
nothing against any of you guys, but you all said some weird shit.
Go
ahead, Samir.
It's fine. Like there is something that's being worked out through people having a bit odd experiences with each other, and there inevitably comes some name calling and some character critique, etc. But the fact is that we've all been like in and out of this crazy thing, consciousness thing. I'm sure we've been in different bodies. I'm sure we've been all over the place, and you could accuse anyone of anything probably, because just it's weird shit. This place is weird. Like, who knows exactly what the narrative is or who did what, but I think a little bit of like allowing some dirty laundry to flap in the breeze a little bit is not necessarily a bad thing. If you keep that your intent is, yes, I'm here to help. I'm here to help return this place into some sense of cohesiveness and some sense of community, then I think these feelings can be discussed without, you know, people having too much of a hissy fit.
Yeah, the fact is I don't have anything against any of these people, and we all have the same common goal, which is to bring this planet to be a better place for everybody. Mm-hmm. So I believe that you're correct in that assumption, and I think that's a safe thing to say.
So, Samir, what were you going to say?
So with me, something similar to what Omar was talking about. So I went to sleep, and that's the weird part. So I went to sleep, and then I opened my eyes in the dream, but it's not a dream. I open my eyes, and I'm in somebody else's body, but the body feels familiar. I'm in a nightclub, fairly dark, and the body that I'm in, there's a friend next to me, which seems fairly familiar as well. And so the body I'm in turns his head to the left, and there's it was Brad Pitt, actually. It's weird because I don't give a damn about celebrities. That's not my thing. Okay, so seriously, and there was a Brad Pitt, and he was talking to somebody else, and then he turns his head to the right. He's just talking, but I can't hear anything. And then there's the guy from Friends, the guy who plays Ross Geller. But they're out of character, so it's really weird. So it's like them out of character, and they're just talking with their friends in this nightclub. Okay, and then it goes on to this being, this spirit being that I'm with. I'm sort of my consciousness is carried with it in like a mist or something, and I'm taken to this. It's a restaurant on this cliff. It looked very brilliant, sunshine outside. Might have been Spain, something like that. Big windows looking out onto the cliff on the opposite side of the cliff edge, and in it there were some Arab guys. They were sitting down. It looked like an expensive restaurant, and I was being almost like, I was being carried around almost like in a camera, and there was George Bush Sr., right? But it's when he was younger. And this voice, it's like when I was explaining to you guys on Isolating 5, when they were telling me about how the brainwashing and so on works. And so he's explaining to me, so George Bush Sr., he looked much younger then, because this was back in the 80s, early 80s, and he's approaching these Arab guys very politely to speak to them. He wanted a deal, and they brushed him off. They were quite rude. And then this sort of voice or jinn or whatever it was explained to me, it's like, that is what caused the Gulf sort of slaughter in the early 90s, was that they tried to make some sort of deal, it didn't work out, and it was at this restaurant. And then it was brilliant sunshine, and I was in this other guy's body. I never got to see what he looked like. And there was, again, Brad Pitt there. And he's a bit of a dick in out of character, because I wave at him, or the character them in waves at him. He's in a dark sort of purple convertible. I think it was like Lamborghini or something like that. I think it was right-hand drive, and I wave at him, and the guy just sort of brushes me off or whatever. And that was basically like the end of it.
You were?
Other
Didn't you say
times-
you were in Brad Pitt? You were in his body,
No, in another guy's body, and I saw the actor Brad Pitt.
but like another.
So I wasn't in his body. I don't know if I was like a personal trainer, in the other body or something. I was traveling in those sort of celebrity circles. I know that this is like a wet dream for some people.
Hold that thought, Samir. We gotta refresh the deal here, so hold that thought, and we can continue on the other side.
Hey, Gary, is it continue live?
In like 3 seconds, Samir, there's a common reel where people get transported through celebrities' bodies. So that's something that's not. I've heard this before, but it's different people that it happens with.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
gonna share the link, you guys.
Gary,
We can.
hit it.
But
Yeah,
I
we
don't
can
know.
continue on the
I'm
other
not saying
side.
I was in a celebrity's body. I never got to see the face. I don't know.
No. To be continued.
To be continued.
Gary, is this gonna be a live continuation?
I don't know. What do you guys want? Doesn't matter to me.
No, I mean as a public.
We'll cut it off. We'll do private on the next one. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, do private on the next one. There's some interesting stuff there.
All right. I'll see you guys in a bit.
All right.
Which dream are you talking about?
We're on 8, right?
I don't know.
The one you had last night.
I had two.
The one about being Earth.
It's so hard for me to think about trying to share all these things because there's so much energy flying around that I can't think clearly.
Right. Well, during the private one we can share maybe if you want.
I'll see. We'll see.
Snail Collective
I can't even hardly
Weekly.
articulate anything right now.
Yeah, no women are contributing.
It's so much. There's just a lot flying around.
Yeah. '20 edition. This is essentially the last one before 2020. Right, the new year is this coming middle of the week.